All right, my friends, today, nice, hot, and muggy, as you can tell by the hair, but we're going to continue working on the RV here and getting things ready to take it back home. Long story short, it's been at a different location for several months now due to family issues. The wife's been down here, I've been back taking care of the property, but we're ready to take this home, so let's get it cleaned up. What is involved with getting this thing back road worthy? First, because we were here over the winter, I had gone under the slides and I'd put some insulation because slides on these things are not very well insulated. So I just got 1-inch outdoor styrofoam cup, right? That outdoor insulation, trimmed it up perfectly under here and taped it, making sure drip edges and all that junk were squared away. Put that under all the slides. Pulled out everything on the campsite, cleaning up, and now on to the next phase. Been sitting here, I have not done the lubricating the rubber in probably 6 months. Should do that once a month on my schedule. It's up to you to figure out your manufacturer and your manufacturer's recommended schedule and your manufacturer's recommended product. I'm going with stuff that works for me. I am not recommending anything. You figure that out for what works for your rig. So, step one, I went through around all these seals, cleaned up everything I could reach, got a little step ladder, cleaned up everything I could reach, got underneath, and I personally just use a waterless car wash spray. A lot of RV parks don't like you just going nuts, sitting here washing a 40-foot RV in their spot, the waste of water. So most RV parks we've been to, actually we've yet to find an RV park that lets you do that. So we're sitting here cleaning things up. Step one, do a general cleaning around everything. Step two for me is then to treat the rubber seals. And you got to treat the rubber seals on the inside and on the outside and on the inside. There's two sides to this rubber, right? So you want to treat the whole thing. You'll notice this is nice and shiny. I've already done this. This is a bedroom slide. I already treated it. So cleaned up the sides, did a nice good treatment of the rubber seal here, and then underneath. Now, this is where, if you don't like sticking your hands somewhere, you probably shouldn't be doing whatever that thing is that requires you to be putting your hands in there. Because RV is fun. RV is a dirty business whenever you're doing things like this. Taking care of the tanks and taking care of things like this does get dirty. Spiders and bugs crawl into places, especially if you've been sitting more than, like 3 days. But if you notice, up in here, I can stick my hand quite a ways back. That's where the slide goes in. So the rubber seal goes all the way up in there. So you need to get your hand in there and clean out all the goop and junk that has been in there, and then lubricate the whole thing. Now the way the lube that I use, 3-in-1 lube, the way I use it, the directions, spray it on, wipe off all the overspray, let it dry. So it's still a little damp up in there because it's not fully dried. But then you also need to pay attention, right? There's a little seal right here, a little flap. You just can't treat right here. Make sure your rubber doesn't break down there. I'll guarantee you, well, I'll guarantee me that the cost of one of these cans of spray is a whole lot less than the cost of replacing that piece of rubber. So that's step two for me. Clean up this seal inside out after all the bugs are gone. I mean, you take your hand up there and drag it around and it comes out grit free. Dirt, a little bit of dirt, but that's okay. Then there's going to be overspray, so go back and clean up because you don't want the rubber stuff hanging out on your fiberglass. Then step three for me is I have Schwintech on two of my slides. Two of my slides have the Schwintech, so I make sure I get in the groove, a little screwdriver and a rag, clean out the inside groove there, clean out everything, little toothbrush, clean out all these channels, make sure everything's nice and clean, then wipe it all down with my waterless car wash. Yes, that means that it is not lubricated. Hey, I happen to have a 3-in-1 RV Slide Out Lube. Imagine that. Get my RV Slide Out Lube, spray it on here, and just let it air dry. So this has been sprayed. Now again, notice the track goes back further than the rubber lets you get, so it's a good thing these things have little nozzles on them to reach back in there, spray some. Don't want to go crazy because that's inside your RV, so I just try and stay on the track, and then give a good coating out here. All four, right? One up there, you see it's still dirty, haven't got there. So I've already done most of this on the Swintex slide. Now the main kitchen slide, much bigger. It has the old tooth and gear slide, right? So you go in there, wipe it all down, spray it, and again you got the hole back in there that you have to get inside and spray. Now that's outside of the rig, that's where the motor and the gears are, so you can go nuts in there a little bit. I didn't go and get every single spider web off of here, they're gonna be, but yes, same thing on this one, inside and outside. Something else that needs to be done is on your basement hatches. There is a gasket in here. You do not want that to go bad either. So I'm going to take my, again, not recommended, just what I use, my RV Care, my rubber conditioner, and I'm going to clean this gasket here. I spray a little bit, use my fingers to wipe it around, try and eliminate the overspray as best I can. And while you're doing this, it's probably a good idea to look for nicks. You know, is your rubber still in good shape? Well, rubber, this is not going to be rubberized. Well, I seriously doubt. But make sure that everything's still in good shape. If you have any nicks, any places where it's coming off, and look at the seams. Right here's a seam because of the latch. That's all still nice and good for ours, as I would expect it to be. This here, again, is only 2 years old, and it's easier to stay ahead of these things than it is to play catch up. It's probably cheaper as well. And wipe off the overspray. That's why I use my fingers. Overspray should be minimal. There. On to the next victim.